Good afternoon, everyone. I am Emily Bull, DRI's Marketing Manager, and I will be moderating today's CSI Roadmap webinar. Before I introduce our presenters, I want to go over a few housekeeping items. All of our attendees are muted as you enter the webinar. Today's presentation from Infor will be about 45 minutes. Time permitting, we will open the floor for a live Q&A session at the end of their presentation. If you would like to ask a question, please do so by typing and submitting your question in the question tab of your webinar toolbar. You can submit a question at any time throughout the session. If we don't have time at the end to respond to your question, we will follow up with you directly following the webinar. We'll also be recording the session, and that recording will be emailed to all registrants following the live presentation. Before we get into today's session, I did want to make everyone aware of our upcoming webinars. 2 weeks from today on Thursday, May 13th, we'll be joined by DRI's VP of Professional Services, John Haddix, for a cloud FAQ session. In that session, John will go over many of the frequently asked questions we hear from our customers regarding the cloud and the process of migrating to the cloud. Then on Thursday, May 27th, DRI will present a live demonstration of CloudSuite Industrial version 10. You can learn more and register for all of our upcoming webinars on our website at decision.com/events. Welcome everyone to today's CloudSuite Industrial Roadmap webinar. I am pleased to introduce our presenters today. First, we will be joined by Josh Wolter, Regional Vice President at Infor, who will provide a brief corporate overview of Infor and its partnership with Amazon Web Services. Josh Wolter started his career in the food and beverage industry, doing outsourced quality at one of the largest food testing laboratories in North America. Josh got his start in technology in 2012 when he moved into a sales role at a startup company that specialized in custom servers and hardware. Josh joined Infor in 2015. He has held multiple roles as part of the direct enterprise sales organization and is now Regional Vice President of Channels. Josh has a bachelor's degree in biology from Crown College. Following Josh's presentation will be Michelle Reidman, Director of Product Management at Infor, to discuss recent product developments and the CloudSuite Industrial Roadmap. Michelle began her career in the manufacturing sector and brought business, process, and technical insight to Infor when she joined the services team as a consultant in 1998. Michelle's experience with OEM equipment manufacturing and Infor ERP solutions set the stage for her role as a senior consultant, project manager, and solution architect. Before becoming part of the product management team in October 2014, Michelle served as ERP director for a global aerospace manufacturer. Michelle earned her bachelor's degree in organizational communication from Oregon State University. We are very pleased to have you both, Michelle and Josh, presenting today. Let's jump right in. Without further ado, I will pass it off to Josh to get us started.
Very good. Thank you, Emily. I will start here with a corporate overview, and then I'll pass the ball over to Michelle for a little bit more in-depth CSI discussion. But I wanted to start off the presentation with a quote from the founder of the World Economic Forum. This quote itself is about 2 to 3 years old, but I think what the world has gone through in the past year couldn't be more relevant. Consumers have had to change the way they buy. Retailers and restaurants have had to change the way they sell and do business, and supply chains have been disrupted globally on a massive scale. And the companies that are able to be flexible and pivot to the changing demands have had a tremendous advantage over companies that have been behind the wave. And I wanted to jump into a timeline of events from Infor. And like Emily mentioned, I've been in Infor for about 6 years, which was shortly after our announcement of our relationship with AWS in March 2014. And before I came to Infor, I sold specialized hardware and servers. And even when I was working there about 8 to 9 years ago, I saw the writing on the wall that customers were moving a lot of their workloads over to the cloud. And I wanted to join a company that was, forward thinking and had a cloud first mentality. And even in the first few years when I joined Infor in our enterprise net new space, so I worked with a lot of companies that were replacing legacy systems or working on systems that were 20 years old and on green screens. The first few years while working with those customers, about 75 to 80% of the customers that were looking at new systems were only interested in on-prem deployments. Cloud was really an afterthought, except for about 20 to 25% of those companies. And just seeing the way the market has changed in the past 12 to 18 months of my time here at Infor, I've really only seen one or two new customers that didn't lead with cloud or have cloud as their preferred deployment method. And it was a really unique use case for why they wanted to stay on-prem or look at an on-prem solution. And Infor was really one of the first enterprise software providers to take that cloud first strategy and pivot to the cloud. And the numbers I'm showing on the screen here, I think, are a testament to us being one of the first companies to be there. And as you can see, there's about 14,000 customers in the Infor cloud today. And I wanted to make this brief. I wanted to really just cover three key differentiators of why I think Infor is a market leader and why our numbers are growing so quickly. And that includes our, number one is our relationship with AWS, the market leader in cloud infrastructure. The second thing I wanted to cover is our Infor OS tech stack. And the third thing is our recent acquisition or partnership with Koch Industries. So the first thing I wanted to mention was you saw it in the previous slide. In 2014, we made a strategic decision to partner with AWS as our hosting provider. And one of the reasons why we made that decision is AWS is the market leader, and it's not really even close. You can see the magic quadrant there. Microsoft and Google are spending billions of dollars a year to try to catch AWS on what they are releasing from features, from new regions, new availability zones. They are 4 or 5 years ahead of the market, and it's really not even close. And why that's a benefit to Infor and our customers is you're getting the best in class security, best in class infrastructure, in global availability zones. And Infor was one of the first enterprise providers to take advantage of a tool set called AWS Lex, which is what their AWS Alexa product is built on. And we have such a close development relationship with AWS that we regularly present at their annual AWS reInvent conference that happens annually. And just to give a sense of the volume of transactions that Infor customers do on AWS, you can see some of the stats here on the slide. But it's pretty impressive, just the amount of data and transactions that are happening monthly and daily with Infor customers on the AWS platform. And you can see in the bottom left there, we are one of AWS's top 10 customers. I've heard differently here in the past few months. I've heard that we're their third largest, their fourth largest, so we're somewhere in the top 10. And as you can see, we're among some very well-known enterprise software providers that are AWS customers. And these stats are probably a couple months old, and we've got hundreds of new customers joining and partnering with Infor and AWS. So these stats are growing monthly. All right, and the second thing I wanted to highlight or I wanted to mention was our Infor OS tech stack. And Michelle's going to be covering this later on in her section, so I don't want to go too deep, but I really like to highlight the quote from IDC on the top. This is Infor's best kept secret. It's Infor OS is a set of services or utilities that are deployed on top of all of our multi-tenant solutions. So large enterprise customers that are running Infor in the cloud are utilizing Infor OS. Customers like Ferrari, Georgia Pacific, and Pilot Flying J are using this tool set, and the tool set is included in our multi-tenant CSI product. So it's included in every subscription and it's part of the CSI bundle. And then third and final and lastly, but not least, is our recent relationship with Koch Industries. Infor was fully acquired by Koch Industries last year, and Koch Industries is the largest privately held company in the US. And some of the benefits that we've seen just here in the last couple months is, we are very well capitalized, and we're able to make long-term, more strategic decisions with our products and with our strategy. And Koch runs their company with a philosophy they developed called market-based management, or MBM. And one of the key pillars of MBM is they are required to reinvest 90% of their profits back into the company. So that, what that means for Infor is more R&D budget, more resources, and we've seen that very evidently here in the last couple months. And the last thing I wanted to cover here is there's a couple documents that are available on the support portal that answer a lot of the questions that our prospective cloud customers are asking. The Sas Delivery guide there in the top left, like I mentioned, it can be downloaded in our support portal. It goes through what life is like in our cloud with Infor, from resources that are available, websites that you can go to, and different things that are part of our cloud. And with that, I will pass the ball over to Michelle and let her jump into a little bit more on CSI and the roadmap. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks very much. And all right, hopefully you can see my presentation now.
Looks great.
Excellent. So taking you into a tour here of, I'm going to start off at that high level, really pick up where Josh set the stage, and then we're going to dive into the specifics of the CloudSuite and share with you things that we've been working on and our plans for the future as well. Look forward to any questions. Again, to echo Emily, if you do have them, please raise your questions in that question option in the toolbar, and hopefully we'll have some time to address those at the end of this presentation. So the foundation of our offering is really, we took a strategy of, we wanted a cloud platform, and the Infor operating service, we love our acronyms here, Infor OS really is that foundation. So it brings it all together. You see there at the bottom, there's a number of components. Infor OS, we also have the data lake, data repository. We are including security, integrations, artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities, as well as document management. And then on top of that, so on that platform, that's where our applications live. And then the user experience, the portal component, and then of course the user-facing analytics that you touch. So basically the applications and then that portal all come together to bring the cloud solution. And here's how it stacks up. This combination of the platform and our partnership with Amazon Web Services really gives us that scalability and resiliency component, so very important. Continuous innovation, I'm going to talk about what that looks like for our particular CloudSuite Industrial, powered by Sightline, which is the ERP driver, of course, and then the goals that we have for the solution, and that is to reduce your cost of ownership and to provide faster time to value for you, all on that modern architecture. So integrations are easier. We do more for you in terms of prepackaged content specific to the industry and the primary industries. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but the main one there is in our industrial manufacturing space. And here, Infor OS, you see those components around the edge. Again, we have the user experience, collaboration, extensibility layer, security, document management, and the AI process integration, data lake, and document management. So give me 1 second. I'm trying to minimize my little toolbar view. Give me a second here. All right, let's see if we can do that. 1 moment. Okay. Also, kind of the last but not least, analytics. I'm going to be talking a little bit today about the work that we've been doing in the analytic front, and that is an interesting and really an exciting area where we are taking the data, and it's not just about transforming that into a KPI or a measure, but really that future is taking the information and being able to have AI generated insights. And then the future beyond that is actually having decision making, like obviously those obvious decisions being made from the system level and helping our users, your employees make the more value add contribution to the system, as opposed to the daily clicks and analysis. So that is some really exciting things for the future that we'll spotlight. But wanted to just level set here and talk about the foundation as it pertains to the core engine of the CloudSuite, and that is run on, so CloudSuite Industrial runs on Infor Sightline, and we have the Infor OS technology stack, of course, on AWS, and then there are common components, the core capabilities to the suite. So if we think about the ERP system proper, you have everything from finance to production to finite planning with the advanced planning and scheduling to service management and quality management. So basically everything that you need all packaged together. And then we have optional components. Let's say that you need some manufacturing automation capabilities and to time track and manage some things in the production facility and in the warehouse. We have solutions for that, as well as product configuration. So looking at the Infor suite of additional products, those can be layered on, and that is where the integration foundation of the technology platform comes in. And then on the right-hand side, and of course the left, we end up with that. So we have the IoT, the Internet of Things, connecting everything together through that interoperability platform, and then leveraging the power of the data to make good choices and to drive artificial intelligence and machine learning with the data and the analytics. So our numbers, you saw the numbers for Infor proper, but what's it look like for our suite? And we're updating this on about a quarterly basis. So for those of you who perhaps had seen this information from January, the beginning of the year, we are up in our numbers. So just like those quotes, we're seeing more and more the trending for cloud, our customers and our prospects moving to the cloud has never been higher. So we have over 300 total cloud customers on our latest and greatest versions, and 94 approximate are in process of their projects, and 213 live. And of course, this is not total for all of our customers. This is just for cloud. So over 35,000 users globally are running the solution. And in the last 2 years, we have released over 120 new features and feature enhancements. And we are the small, medium-sized business cloud manufacturing solution here at Infor. That is the zone that we play in. And on average, some of our customers are a lot higher, but it averages out to be 100 and some change for each of the facilities and deployments for our customers. So there's a CSI by the numbers. Now, why would you move to the cloud? The key drivers really are innovation, security and compliance, performance and scalability, obviously that user experience, and then the total cost of ownership. So this is an interesting cloud survey. We interviewed over 370 customers across all sectors, and that's kind of how we came up with these are the drivers for why you would go to the cloud. And to highlight some of those particular things, not to be redundant, Josh covered the AWS, but that is such an important thing to understand. The value of AWS, if you peel back the layers and say, what do I get there, right? Let's look at the security and the infrastructure and the cost for that infrastructure, and the automation and the scalability. In order to reproduce that, let's say in your own data center, that would be incredibly cost prohibitive. So security alone and scalability really, the AWS platform, it outpaces others. So key for us is the multi-tenant model, and this is our single version release. And I'll talk a little bit about what that means in terms of our continuous improvement, continuous development approach, and what we use as drivers for innovation, and how do we determine how we're going to do what. But also to bring it back to our industry-related content. So our focus here is this SMB space for the industrial manufacturing sector. We're looking at those industry best practices and bringing not just the solution, but the implementation strategy and the process standards to help you increase that time to value and reduce the cost of operations. So implementation accelerators are one way that we do that. And those are a set of tools, a set of templates, etc., a set of configurations and documentation that all come together, help reduce that cost to implement, as well as increase the time to value, because it's going to take you less time to implement. And our communities here, for those folks on the call, that this is really, really key. We've seen just such a great, there's some really great user stories in terms of the improvement and then the time to value when we look at our customers and their projects. So security and compliance, again, a big one. Just to hit a few things on the left, those policies and processes. So we are following the ISO 27001 and NIST best practice standards for policies and software development and security protocols. So lots of things going on behind the scenes where we're monitoring network security, managing and protecting you against those physical security threats. Often we get the question of, how is my information protected? Is everything encrypted? What about at rest and in transit? And the answer is yes, your data is encrypted, both while it's static, so at rest, as well as when we are doing communication. And that is one of the benefits of that technology platform for integration. So whatever is handshaking with your data in the cloud, it is encrypted in both states. So key takeaway there. Monitoring and management, when you are in the cloud, there is dynamic and always monitoring activities that are taking place to ensure that the systems are healthy, and that if we have the need for a scaling event, for example, that we'd be able to do that. That gets into the world-class performance, obviously those three pillars there: scalability, performance, and resiliency across the data centers, okay? So there's lots of strategies that we employ, leveraging the AWS as the infrastructure, load balancers, and so on, in order to make that work well for our customers in the cloud. Customer success management. It's again, we have a number of components here. We're looking at the technology and tools, bringing to you a good user experience, and that we continue to keep in mind, how do we make our products easier to use while allowing you the tools to be able to extend and tailor these so that they can meet your unique business requirements. It's one thing to have a good set of industry standards, but it's quite another to have something that's available in the cloud that will allow you to do some tailoring and be able to still achieve all of those goals. So that extended value from the cloud, again, the infrastructure cost savings, and the ability then to have more productivity for your teams, and then that always on. So we're proud of our uptime stats in the cloud, which are over 99%. So here are just a few other things and stats for you. Analysis of over 200 of our customers over the last couple of years. We show here that we've been able to, that our customers rather, have been able to have a cost savings of 10 to 25% over 5 years. And of course, that comes in a variety of ways, or it manifests itself in a variety of ways, so that then they can turn those savings around in further investments, in investing in their people and in their systems as well. So the customer experience, I'm going to quickly pivot to the right box there. So in the multi-tenant cloud capability, we realized a 52% reduction in costs. And those are some really powerful stats when you look at those as well. So another one, a cloud deployment saved approximately 34 million in cap expenditures by reducing their operational expenditures by 85% in the technology sector. So again, some powerful things there, and we do take the user experience very seriously. We want to optimize that, and that's not just at the application layer, but it's at all layers. So the improved efficiency and the scaling out when we think of your technology and your IT staff, and making this more productive for you on the technical front, right? So it's not just application and your functional teams, but it's your technical teams as well. Okay, and a few more stats here, looking at it from the technical side. You can see, obviously, the cost of downtime is expensive, and security breaches as well can be very, very expensive. So having that added protection that the AWS infrastructure provides is extremely valuable, and that's all combined in the cloud subscription. So with that, I'm going to change and go right into the product update, and I'll be talking about some things that are in the works right now. So just please note that may change in scope and timing. And you can see the distribution of our customers across the globe, primarily in North America, and then followed by Asia Pac, in Europe, and then the Latin American region, and our a segmentation by industry subcategories. So half are in the industrial manufacturing space, and then the rest of that 80% is in high tech and equipment, distribution, automotive, and aerospace and defense. And in 2020 versus 2018, you can see we went from 12% of our bookings that were SaaS to 38%, and that number just keeps increasing, as you heard Josh talk about the stats. Our strategy at a product level really focuses on the same pillars. We want to optimize your supply chain, which is helping you reduce costs and the complexity of your business processes. And of course, that is at a foundational level, providing for you a backbone for your digital transformation. Here's another quote. This one is by SMB Group, and this is looking at the technology trends in the SMB space, that small, medium-sized business space. This is from January, so current. We know 2020 was an interesting year, but it really had a lot of companies looking at how they could change. So the second paragraph, technology is playing a crucial role for companies that are in your zone. And one of the key things for them is that the cloud-based businesses have been valuable in sustaining their business. So they were in the cloud and it helped them sustain, and also because of the work from home strategy, in the changing of the makeup and the distribution of their business, they were able to react more quickly. They were able to scale up, scale down. We have all ends of the spectrum here. So it really gave them the flexibility and the agility that they needed to adapt. Drivers for us for the product. Competitive landscape, market, and the voice of you all, our customer, as well as technology and thought leadership. So the industry 4.0, those are key things, and thought leadership, looking at the SMB space and what are the driving forces for you, our customers, and our industrial manufacturers. This lines up into 4 pillars: industry, cloud maturity, experience, and this is the user experience, and then innovation. And I'll hit on those as we talk about our accomplishments to date and what we plan on doing for the future. So in the industry sector, in 2019 and 2020, we rolled out a number of enhancements and then some additional capabilities. So for those customers that require FedRAMP certification and additional controls for government regulations, some of our defense contractors and so on, we offered our regulated industry SaaS for those customers. So that was launched. So we have our commercial cloud as well as our regulated industry cloud. We also released lean manufacturing. This is in a controlled availability. We released this last October. So this brings to the fold additional lean manufacturing principles and capabilities to manage inventory and triggers and so on. So I'll talk a little bit about that a little later. And then in the cloud, so cloud maturity or cloud infrastructure has been a huge focus for us. And it's going to continue to be that, because technology is always improving and getting better and more automated. And we're doing the same thing. So we did a lot of work in 2019 for maintenance improvements, provisioning automation, and load balancing for a single version installer. And then in 2020, we did some additional automation for cloning and refresh of tenants, which is being leveraged for pre-production as well as for just the norm. Also, targeted patching for individual tenants, and really looked at how can we improve our quality and ensure that we are taking advantage of those principles for continuous improvement, continuous development, and get better and better. On the experience side, we launched a wave 1 of our, we call them .web forms, and these are responsive design forms. This is our initial step into responsive design forms, and we will continue to evolve those forms over time. So that is a big project for us as part of our UX productivity, our user experience productivity improvement. On the innovation front, so in 2019, Two-factor authentication was adopted, as well as burst and our data lake adoption. And we have some localizations that we've picked up along the way, as well as some integration improvements that we've made to Infor solutions such as global human resources, Rhythm, our multi-tenant CRM. And we also picked up some changes and enhancements as part of the technology platform with the IDM enterprise printing adoption toward the end of last year. For those of you who are not familiar with our pipeline and how we manage it, those roadmap drivers you see there on the left, it comes from all of the quadrants, from our teams, from our partner community, from you, our customer, and from the market. And essentially those inputs go in, they are prioritized, and then they go into the development pipeline. And then once those are completed, the code gets checked in and it goes through a QA launch and release cycle. And then there is an incremental release process. And by that, I mean we have the opportunity to release those features on a monthly cadence. And here at Infor, the cloud maintenance schedule is common for all of the multi-tenant Infor solutions. So your maintenance is established, and it's by region. So for those of you running your businesses out of the US, there is a set weekend of the month where the monthly maintenance interval occurs, and your Infor products are updated all together on that interval. You heard me mention the ERP driver. At the heart of CloudSuite Industrial is Sightline, and we did do a rebranding. So way back when, for those of us who've been kicking around for a while, we know who we are. The ERP name was Sightline. Well, in our launch to the cloud in 2014, if you recall Josh's slide on the timeline, we actually rebranded the ERP name to equal the multi-tenant cloud CloudSuite, which was CloudSuite Industrial. Well, we recognized that we were the only ERP that kind of did that, and so just pulling a step back and recognizing that we wanted to, for consistency, continue to use the ERP name. So that's consistent with all the cloud suites here at Infor. So you'll see the product name now throughout all of the customer-facing areas, infor.com, the support portal, and so on. So don't be confused. The ERP name is Sightline, and then the multi-tenant cloud suite bundle is CloudSuite Industrial. Now, how do our strategic priorities line up for this year, 2022 and beyond? In those same pillars, we will be bringing to general availability our lean manufacturing module this year. We're also working on a number of really interesting projects for industry. One of those is a collaboration with our Coke partners, KBX Logistics, and we're working on a transportation management system. And this transportation management system is going to, so it's at the core of the solution that all of the Infor cloud suites, our ERPs, will connect to. The initial focus on that is small parcel and LTL, but look for more information in the coming months as we get a little bit closer. Expected initial wave launch of that is the latter part toward the end of this calendar year 2021. We also have some interesting enhancements that we are underway on for our warehouse management system. So when we have the need to extend the warehouse management capabilities, bringing in Infor WMS into the CloudSuite Industrial Suite, we'll have enhanced integration that you will be able to leverage as well. The cloud, we are focusing really on some key areas. One, to ensure that our regressions are as few as possible. 0 is our goal. The other thing that we're working on is improving the indicators. So if there is a health problem, well, the first step is knowing you have a problem. So, and often we actually have to put an indicator. You think about that as the blinking red light. So we have to code in the blinking red light, the blinking green light. Yes, I'm okay. No, I'm not okay. And then we can take action and restore that particular service that has become unhealthy. In addition, part of our cloud maturity is a zero impact maintenance. Now, what I mean by that is not just on our end at the application level, but for the extensions, for anything that has been done by you, whether it's additional fields, whether it's a custom module, we really want there to be zero impact after a maintenance window so that there is no business disruption. So there are a number of activities that we are working very hard on technology-wise to do that, such as blue-green, a metadata fix-up window, ensuring that we enhance our feature toggles and switches. So more to come there, but there's a lot. We recognize that that is the one thing that will have the most value to all of our customers who are leveraging our cloud solutions. So lots of work there, and how that's going to manifest itself in the future as part of our continuous improvement, continuous delivery pipeline work. We'll continue to roll out segmentation of components so that it gives us more flexibility as we release things. So smaller sections rather than it being one chunk, a monolith, we'll be able to roll and do pushes out individually. So that's our vision. That will manifest itself beginning in 2022. And then we see in 2023 and beyond, we're looking at serverless architecture, some self-diagnostics and healing, and more configuration and data capabilities as well. I'm going to pop up because I skipped on the industry. So in 2022, then 2023 and beyond, multi-plant or planning by warehouse is an item that we've been working on for some time. So that we're looking forward to rolling out the latter part of 2022 is what we're looking at here. And of course, continuing our enhancements for our core features and expanding on the industry capabilities. And that's really where we stand in terms of 2023 and beyond is we just need to be better, stronger, faster in all of those areas. User experience, we have some interesting projects that we're underway on right now. The first one is our enhanced role-based home pages and dashboards. So I'll cover a little bit more on dashboards in a little bit. Those will be rolled out as part of the home page, so as the portal. So for our CloudSuite customers, that is of course included in the subscription. You have role-based home pages as part of the user portal that is the initial launch point for all of your users to leverage the suite and all the Infor components that are available to them. We have some integration enhancement we're doing for IDM. We're also bringing in some localization support for our Mexico e-invoicing and e-accounting. And that will transition into a user experience optimization, so a productivity, where then we are really looking at the steps in a process holistically and improving the clicks and the flow and the visibility and taking each of the owners of the process section of that complete chain and optimizing it for their interaction. So that work is going to begin in 2022 and of course will continue on. And then beyond, we start looking at touch UI, visualization of information, and we get into some interesting things in terms of virtual reality even, and that cross sections with the innovations and the optimization of AI ML to then advance some of those activities, those standard tasks for our users. So it's really like there's a dovetail between innovation and the user experience. Mobile evolution is also something that we are spending some time on for one of our products in particular, our CRM multi-tenant, and that mobile technology advances that we're doing this year is going to pave the way for our mobile strategy going forward. All right, and I talked to you a little bit about our lean manufacturing and the 3PL and the transportation management shipping integration. And of course, we will have some core feature enhancements as well. And then in 2022, the multi-plant is going to provide us the ability to do additional segmentation and represent within a site, within one single site, multiple manufacturing centers, which will be highly valuable, of course, to our customers who have that structure, which the majority of our customers do have more than one manufacturing facility as a rule. So this year I talked about the cloud maturity and how we're improving our service level indicators, the visibility of when we have a problem. So it's all about the service and reliability of the solution, making sure that it's not just about the uptime, but it's ensuring that there's no degradation of services at all. We are working as well on a project that migrates our SQL business logic to the middle tier, and that means it's going into metadata as C#. So that started in 2020 in September. And to see how we are progressing here, we've included the knowledge-based solution. You can access that through the support portal. Definitely subscribe to this because we give you advance notice of the objects that are being converted. And we're doing this on a monthly basis, but there's a number of, as you can imagine, the whole depth of the count of functions and stored procedures and database triggers that all need to be converted. It is taking us some time to get through, but you'll know 60 days in advance what's going to be connected, and then 30 days we are providing our customers the code. So then if you've done any extensions in that area, for example, you have some XGen stored procedures that are being called, then you'd be able to look at that and do your transition to custom assembly logic. And what does cloud maturity look like in 2022 and then beyond? This is where we get into reduction of contention. So optimizing the resource weights and improving the scaling out and the visibility of the scaling event so that those are initiated. And again, it's just really optimizing performance and experience of our cloud customers. And moving from a monolith, meaning it's one block that we push, that will have segmentation of the layers, not only from the architecture framework and technology, but from within the application. That means, for example, let's say the finance within the accounts payable or order entry or purchase order or production and planning, that those have the individual code line pushes as part of the update, so we have a little bit more flexibility in segmentation. And we talked about our feature management, and we do plan on expanding feature switches and toggles as well that will help you do more previewing of features in your non-production environment, review that prior to then the uptake and rollout of those in production when they come. So I mentioned the dashboards and the role-based home pages, and this is an example of our next iteration where you see KPIs and measures at the top, and then those key things, those driving things, whether it's notifications or it's to-dos or it's things that your users need to quickly be able to visualize and then jump to. So it is targeted to those personas. We want to surface up that relevant information and then quickly allow the users to either respond, take action, or to jump off into the system to get to the information that they need to. And our next wave of the portal, that's the user experience, that's coming in 2022, and you see a sneak peek of it here in this actual example, where the portal becomes a panel on the left, and it's just more seamless to move and to navigate, and of course us improving our productivity and responsiveness in the designs. And we have a phrase called minimum lovable product in terms of how we assess, the wave 1, wave 2. And of course, we want our product to be highly useful, highly valuable, and maximum lovable product by you and your employees and your customers. One of the things that we're doing to provide you and connect your users with that data is our analytics. It comes in 2 layers. One is the C-suite level analytics, which is a project that we're collaborating with our Burst team on, and then our actual standard, our kit, our starter kit for the CSI analytics, and that's for version 10 and comes with the CloudSuite subscription. So we've made a lot of progress here, and just to recap it for you all, we have finance and sales measures that are available today for our V10 cloud customers, and then inventory will be coming later on this year, followed by production, service, projects, and HR in terms of an analytics. And wrapping it up with innovation, it's last but never least, Industry 4.0, the smart factory. Those are critical drivers into how we are really bringing that all together to power your transformation, right? To bring the technology to you so that it's easy for you to implement, that it is providing that business impact and that value. So those will be some interesting things to watch over the coming months for this year and for next year. And then beyond, right? What is 2023 and beyond? Well, it's still those 4 pillars: industry, cloud maturity, experience, and innovation. We want to continue to expand, continue to improve that time to value, reducing the complexity, and improving our automation so that your users are able to be more productive. And I did want to wrap up on the concierge portal. Where do you find things? How do you see what's going on? I shared with you the roadmap. You do as a customers, we have all of this information available to you, so you can see the latest and greatest. The roadmaps are under the important documents area, and you can have a look at that for CloudSuite Industrial, Sightline, as well as any of the Infor solutions that you have. So with that, I will pause, and then we can open it up for Q&A. Back to you, Emily. Do we have any questions?
We have received a couple of questions. Before we jump into those, thank you, Michelle and Josh. There are a lot of exciting things happening at Infor, especially with CloudSuite Industrial. And we really appreciate your time. At this point, we do have a couple of minutes left for questions. So just a reminder to our attendees, if you have a question, you can submit it in writing in the question tab of your webinar toolbar. So with that, I will go ahead and ask the first question. Is from Ted, who wants to know if CSI in the cloud is the same product as CSI on-prem.
That is a fantastic question, and often it's asked more often than you may think. The answer is the code base is exactly the same. So in terms of the functionality, right, when we're doing order management is the same between the on-premise and the cloud. What is different, however, between the cloud and on-prem is the suite bundle. So with the cloud, you are getting the Infor operating service, you are getting the toolkit of analytics, you are getting the portals, you're getting the home pages. So there is a lot of data lake components. So there's a lot that we've packaged together for you that on-prem you would be choosing those as individuals. So in terms of our core code base, it is the same, but the package for the cloud definitely has a lot of great things in it and is optimized there in your SaaS subscription.
Excellent. The second question, which I believe you did cover earlier in the session, but we'll ask it again because we do get this question quite a bit as well. Chad wants to know, how does Infor ensure that their company's data is secure in the cloud?
Excellent. That's a good question. If you recall back in the security area, so there's a few things that I mentioned. I mentioned our ISO controls. I mentioned our data security protocols, and we go through a rigor on a periodic basis where the Infor Security Office, we go through pen or penetration tests where we confirm, or we basically test ourselves to see if if there is any way we can access that. So in addition to the standards in terms of encrypting your data and in transit, so during the transaction and at rest, we are also very vigilant of testing, so we make sure that nothing has changed and that there's no way that we could expose any information or that there could be an outside party that somehow gets access to our system. But we also maintain protocols for data protection. So we have our policies as well that are very, very strict in terms of access to information, and the roles and responsibilities for our cloud team members, again, are everyone takes that very seriously, and our code of ethics is very tightly controlled in terms of what people are allowed to do, who can do what, and the segmentation of duties. For example, in the cloud, no one can get into your database. We do not see your information. We can run logs, but we cannot actually have access to your UI. We can do a WebEx with you, for example, or a screen share with you, but we cannot actually access the database in the back end. So your system and your information are protected.
Excellent. So I'm gonna end it with one last question. We do have a handful of other questions. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to get to everyone's question, but we will follow up with those of you via email who we have not gotten to your question. I am going to jump, Michelle, to a question from Tony, which is another question that we've heard a couple of times. From a developer's perspective, does the cloud version of Sightline still allow the same amount of customizability as on premises?
That is a really, really good, pertinent question. So there are differences. So if you remember nothing from this conversation, you can remember Michelle said there were some differences. What were those? The biggest difference is the access to the SQL database, right? As a data owner of your infrastructure on-prem, you have system admin privilege to SQL, right? As a cloud provider, right, and a user, so we need to protect that. And therefore, you will be leveraging extensibility features and tools from the UI through the UI to extend the forms, to do custom data assemblies, tailor IDOs, those are intelligent data objects, add fields, do all of that. So there is a lot that you can do. So we find that for the most part, anything that you could do on premise, leveraging cloud extensibility best practices, which were super important here, that for the most part, that we're able to achieve the spirit of that. But the key thing to remember is database access, right? Keeping the cloud secure means restricting that database access. So I say that's the biggest difference. Emily. That is the biggest difference.
Of course. So it is 3:59, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up our webinar today. Again, I'll follow up directly with those of you who we didn't get a chance to address your questions. Before we wrap up completely, I just wanted to send a reminder out to all of our attendees today that our next webinar, Cloud ERP Frequently Asked Questions, will take place 2 weeks from today. You can register for that session and view all of our upcoming webinars on our website at decision.com/events. Thank you so much to Michelle and Josh for making time for us today. And thank you to all of our attendees. We hope this was an informative session. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you at our next session.